This is the second look that I've done, just hoping that I'll love it enough to film this video. Ugh, go away, you silly pop-up. If I was a romance novel writer, it would be disgusting in here. Hello, hi, Miniano, Afi Ayabani Nawo. If you're new here, hi, my name is Naa Momo, and you're welcome to my channel. Today is another episode of Books in a Beat. That's a series I do here where I review books written by African authors in a makeup look and sometimes an outfit inspired by the cover of the book. One thing that people who are really close to me know, I love romance novels. When this came my way, I absolutely had to dive in. Today's book is Love in Color. It's by Bolu Babalola. She's a Nigerian author. It's a collection of short stories that are written as you would expect a romance novel to be written. Some of the stories are retellings of tales that we already know. The retellings of these stories in this way, it was one of the most refreshing things that I read at the very end of 2021. Like, it came in at the buzzer. One of the only other books that I've reacted to this viscerally was The Death of Vivek Oji by Akwaeke Mezi. And I haven't even spoken about that one here. But yeah, today we're talking about Love in Color. I just recently followed on Twitter because after I read the book, I was like, who is this woman and why is she writing these things that I've been looking for? Her bio says rom-commissaire and Yorubadi. That's my ballpark. That she's my people's. I have already reread it about twice or thrice because that's just how enriching and filling the stories are to me. The other thing that drew me to the book was the fact that the cover was really cool. So I'm hoping that my look today did justice to it. Over the past few years, I've been looking for romance novels based in African countries, like on the continent, written to fit within the various African contexts. Like, I'm Ghanaian and I'm Ga, so I'm looking for like very niche stuff. Like, I'm trying to read about Nilante meeting Benoit in the hotel lobby and was bewitched by her smell and tranced by her coffee-colored eyes. The sappy things like that. I'm trying to read about it, but I'm trying to read about it in... You get me? Finding this book gave me that. Yes, they are short stories. I absolutely would have loved for some of them to be longer. And we'll get into that later. But this collection was an insight into the kind of thing that I've been looking for. Reading Bolu's book has been the encouragement that I need to kind of explore what writers on the continent are doing with romance and just the lush worlds that they're creating and stories that they're telling and the different ways that these storytelling traditions are coming together. And I'm really excited to see what I find over the next year. I loved a couple of the stories so much that I tried and failed to convince the author to give us like longer versions, like whole novels, and she very clearly lets me know that these are short, complete stories. So if you end up reading it and you are also disappointed, I don't want to say that you should go and ask her what's up, because she's going to tell you the same thing that I did, but I want to let you know that you have somebody in whose DMs you can cry because of that. Okay, this is a safe space. I understand where you're coming from, I do. Because of the structure of the book, today's video is going to be a little different. It's going to just be me talking about my favorite stories, and I've already spoken a little bit about what the stories did for me, but maybe towards the end I'll delve into it a little bit more. Today's look, as usual, is inspired by the cover of the book. There are two covers. Both of them have blue to be their predominant color, at least in my opinion. Hence my blue cardigan and my blue low silk scarf. Yellow and brown are also very prominent, so my jewelry is a callback to that yellow. My lip color was supposed to be a dark brown with a hint of red as a callback to the two dark-skinned figures on the book, as well as the dark red that you can see. The eye look itself, I tried to make it wearable because the one that I did previously I didn't like. I didn't feel like it suited my face. This I like a lot more. This I feel like I could definitely wear somewhere. The inner corner is yellow which is also a callback to the yellow streak on the cover of the book. And then it goes into pink, which is the predominant color on one of the covers, then orange, and then a darker red that didn't quite come out as a dark red. I have some blue eyeshadow, which I mixed with a mixing medium over my eyeliner, so that goes over the black eyeliner on my lash line, and then there's a little on the inner corner as well. I didn't put on lashes today because I've decided that lashes will not come and stress me in this new year. Okay, now we're gonna dive into the stories. I chose my 3 favorite stories, and coincidentally these are just retellings of old stories. The very first story in the book, and the story that I love the most, the story behind which I went to cry to the author, Osun. That's all I have to say. That's a lie, because I'm about to talk some more about that story. The texture of this story, like, texture is not the word you would expect for a narrative feat, but oh my god, just the fullness. Reading the retelling of such a central part of the Orisha Ifa belief system, and just taking what we know about Osun and Shango and Yemaya and just that whole pantheon of spirits and gods and goddesses and turning it into what it was. It honestly was reminding me of Percy Jackson for some reason, but more enticing. Envisioning that kind of academy setting and putting a cast that looks largely like me is a cast that I am familiar with regard to the story that they share together. Delicioso. Reading about Oshun's understanding of herself as plentiful and unlimitable, and still seeing how she battled with limiting herself, that kind of silent honesty kind of makes you reflect upon what exactly you are doing that's similar, and why you should also be hesitating to do that, or why you should also be battling with yourself to stop doing that. The things in that story really start to come to a head when Osun notices a beautiful stranger, and she's doing girl chat with her sister, and all of a sudden this stranger is in her brain and they're talking. The tension that creates, that's one of the things that I love about romance novels. You can experience romantic tension without being invested in an actual human being. Like, it's fantastic. And really being very clear about speaking to Osun, as her plentiful self, as her full self, as her unlimitable self, as opposed to somebody who is linked to Shango and is only highly regarded in that space. We all want somebody to see us. Somebody who knows that she's a baddie, is a little afraid that she's a baddie, but is speaking to her anyway because she's a baddie. Amen. The trope that the author used, beautiful stranger comes in to disrupt something that's been established, and so one partner who has been slacking has to fight for their partner. If I end up reading this story again and the need to ask the author for an extended version comes up again, I might end up just writing it myself and reading it myself. If that happens, Bolu, don't be angry, please. I beg you. It's just the inspiration. My second favorite story was Sherazad. So this one was a bit of a tragedy, but just like I felt with Osun, I think the way that it was written was so full and rich, and the amalgamation of 2 different worlds, the way that the author did it was just fantastic. The protagonist, the person whose voice that we're hearing, she's an international relations baddie, and that's my undergrad bag, that's my grad school bag, like, that's me. So I felt really seen. The fullness of desire here gave me warm fuzzies. The journey that the protagonists were on, from being acquaintances to being people who were just like casually seeing each other while being very invested in each other, to finally admitting their investment, to the sucker punch at the very end. I'm not one to like tragic stories, like, give me a happy ending, please. But you don't have an inkling that something awful is happening until the very end, and the delivery of it is swift. It doesn't mean that it's ineffective though. I'm trying not to say too much. Again, I don't think I'm succeeding. Sherazad kind of leans enemies to lovers at least in my estimation. That leads me to the third story, and the title of that one is Sia. This one is Friends to Lovers, and this is not just like friends to lovers, it's like friends, co-workers to lovers. Their situation is very specific, and I'm not gonna go into too much detail, but long story short, the male protagonist has had affection for the female protagonist for a long time, and at the very crux of an important situation, he makes it known to her, and she realizes that, oh, she feels the same way. The scene in which this realization happens, it's just, respectfully, I'd like it for Valentine's Day, for my birthday, for their birthday. Oh yeah, Ghana's Independence Day, Republic Day, and if they're not Ghanaian, wherever they are from, their national celebration. Thanksgiving, for Christmas, for Boxing Day, for New Year's, and then repeat. Once again, the tension, as you would expect with a friends to lovers story, was just, I think it was a really good account of someone seeing you for everything that you are and choosing you, not in the ways that you're expecting them to choose you as your friend, and like choosing you in the ways that you wouldn't expect them to choose you as well. You may have noticed that every single story that I've mentioned has been about a female protagonist. The author stated that she did that because she wanted to take these stories that we grew up hearing, which, you know, as you grow older, you realize the misogynistic undertones of them, and turn them on their heads. Ask yourself, what would this look like if it was a woman with agency, a woman who was in charge of her own life, her own things, her own destiny? What would loving somebody who is so full and so present and so strong and so capable, what would that look like? And just painting those pictures as a healthy representation of what affection can look like for women like that. I know that a lot of the books that I read growing up, when I shouldn't have been reading them in the first place, were about women who didn't have agency, but then they ended up meeting the right man, and the man, it wouldn't be framed as the man giving them agency, but the undertones points to that. But every single story in here is about a woman who has done things for herself, is doing things for herself, and is being met halfway by somebody who sees them as their equal, understands the fullness of life that they have, wants to add to it in a positive way. This outlook isn't only applied to the stories that we already know that are being retold, but also to the newer stories that the author adds at the end of the book, where you can tell that the intention is to show female protagonists being acknowledged for who they are, pursued intentionally by people who actually care about them, actually want to make them happy, actually want to enjoy life with them and support them in the ways that they can. That's really cool. Because she's writing a niche that I love so much, I'm very, very, very excited to see what she does. That's all I have for you today. I'm sorry if it's been a little long. I have a request though. Please don't be afraid to give us a little spiciness. Yes, reading about the longing and the tension is great, but please add the smut, okay? Thanks. If you don't know how to do this, go to Adventures from the Bedrooms of African Women. That website do show, there are many examples. Go educate yourself, lean into it, explore. We're here, we'll receive it with open arms and joyful hearts. That's everything that I was able to squeeze out of the many, many, many notes that I made. Thank you so much for watching, for liking, for commenting, for subscribing. Thank you for coming into the new year with me. I'm hoping this year to bring you a more diverse continental review, and I'm hoping to read books from countries apart from Ghana and Nigeria. If you have anything from any of the other countries on the continent, please by all means send them to me. I'd be happy to read and talk about it. Okay guys, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.